Listen to this shocking update that has suddenly shaken currency speculation communities around the world, something so unexpected that even longtime followers of the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong rumors are calling it the biggest twist they've seen in years. So before we dive deeper into this intense breakdown, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, because the information unfolding today is exactly the type of content that can keep you ahead of the curve when the global financial atmosphere becomes unpredictable and speculation reaches new heights. And now, let's get straight into what has triggered thousands of holders to start asking whether the Vietnamese Dong could actually be positioning itself differently in the regional economic landscape, because recent discussions circulating through forums, analyst circles, and community speculation groups are suggesting that the so-called final rate conversations, though not verified by any central authority, are becoming a more dominant topic than ever, with people debating whether Vietnam's gradual economic strengthening, increasing exports, and tighter monetary management could eventually influence how people perceive its potential value in the long term. And this is where the story becomes interesting, because while no official revaluation is confirmed, the pattern of attention itself is something that economists have been watching, noting how currency rumors often spread when countries demonstrate sustained economic discipline or begin to make structural upgrades to their economies. And Vietnam is undeniably one of the fastest-growing economic engines in Southeast Asia, which naturally attracts speculation. And when speculation grows, it leads to even more rumors about private discussions, leaked numbers, and insider whispers, even though no legitimate global financial institution has confirmed anything like that. But the psychology behind the rise of these rumors is important to address, because as investors in communities focused on emerging market currencies look for opportunities, they tend to combine hope, analysis, and speculation to form narratives that feel exciting and sometimes even plausible. And this is why the recent surge in chatter about the Vietnamese Dong seems to be rooted not in confirmed data, but in the belief that Vietnam's increasing integration into global trade networks could someday shift its currency's perceived value. And some analysts argue that while no overnight dramatic revaluation is expected or supported by evidence, long-term organic appreciation could be possible if Vietnam continues to raise productivity, strengthen domestic industries, and maintain stable foreign investment flows. And at the same time, people comparing this to the Iraqi dinar point out that Iraq too has been making slow but noticeable moves to stabilize its monetary environment, align more with international standards, and reduce informal market fluctuations. And these developments feed into a broader narrative that many currency enthusiasts follow closely, a narrative full of anticipation, market psychology, and global economic movements, which is exactly why today's circulating rumors, although not confirmed, have become a major conversation across online communities, especially when speculation includes imagined scenarios of what the world financial landscape could look like if Vietnam and Iraq both continue experiencing economic evolution. As we move and that's why into this people unfolding are watching closely, the most even though nothing official has been announced, is how these rumors about the Vietnamese Dong's potential future are influencing broader conversations about Iraq's strategic position and its efforts to modernize its financial system. Because every time speculation flares up around one emerging market currency, it tends to trigger ripple effects across others, especially among investors who group the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong into the same speculation category. And what makes this moment particularly interesting is that economic analysts who usually dismiss currency rumors outright are actually paying attention, not because they believe in secret rates or hidden deals, but because they're observing how global trade realignments and new geopolitical partnerships are reshaping investor sentiment, which is something that genuinely matters in today's financial environment. And when you look at Vietnam's economic trajectory, you see a country that has expanded its manufacturing base enormously, becoming a key player in electronics, textiles, and export-driven growth. And this shift has naturally sparked conversations about how its currency might evolve if productivity continues rising and if Vietnam further reduces inflation volatility. And meanwhile, Iraq is fighting hard to stabilize its financial ecosystem by increasing transparency in currency auctions, tightening its banking regulations, and aligning more closely with global requirements. And while none of these actions indicate a surprise revaluation or dramatic rate shift, they do help create a stronger long-term foundation, which is why some investors interpret every small improvement as part of a larger transformation. And this is exactly how speculation grows, through tiny signals that get amplified in the absence of clear information, and the global economic context adds another layer of intrigue because major economies are monitoring Vietnam carefully, not because of any rumored rate changes, but because Vietnam has become a critical part of supply chain restructuring. And when a country becomes essential to global manufacturing frameworks, it naturally invites more financial attention. And this attention often gets misinterpreted or exaggerated inside speculation communities, especially when people begin combining separate pieces of news into a narrative that sounds bigger than it really is. But even then, the attention itself is worth analyzing because sentiment can shape expectations and expectations can shape market behavior. And this is why some currency watchers insist that even if no RV occurs, the evolving geopolitical environment could influence how Iraq and Vietnam interact financially with other nations in the future, and this multi-layered speculation keeps people engaged, searching for clues, interpreting signals, and discussing every minor policy change like it could be a puzzle piece in a hidden master plan. And once again, it's important to emphasize that no official institution has confirmed any dramatic rate shift, but the ongoing speculation shows just how powerful community-driven narratives as we reach the final part of this economic developments and political changes
discussed
and
topic,
global
the most
financial fascinating thing is how both new and long-time holders of the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong are reacting to the constant flow of rumors, because while experienced analysts understand that no verified evidence supports the idea of an imminent revaluation, many followers still treat each rumor like a potential turning point, especially now when economic shifts worldwide feel larger and more unpredictable than they have in years. And this emotional engagement has built a unique global community where people track every financial announcement, every government policy change, every central bank update, and every economic projection involving Iraq or Vietnam, analyzing them as if they are clues in a massive ongoing mystery. And part of the reason this speculation remains so popular is that both countries genuinely are evolving economically, Vietnam with its rapid industrial expansion and Iraq with its gradual financial stabilization. And when real development mixes with speculation, the story becomes even more compelling, and many viewers want to understand whether these improvements could eventually influence currency value organically over time rather than through a dramatic sudden shift. And that's where the more realistic long-term perspective enters the conversation, because economists often say that currencies strengthen gradually when countries improve productivity, governance, inflation stability, and foreign investment confidence. And while this process can take years or even decades, communities built around these currencies are eager to interpret every development through a much more dramatic lens, and that emotional intensity is what keeps these rumors alive, even when official institutions deny them. And another factor driving the conversation is digital connectivity, because speculation spreads faster than ever through social media, forums, influencer discussions, and community live streams, each adding more layers of interpretation, excitement, and mystery to the narrative. And this is why topics like the so-called final rate or behind-the-scenes discussions gain momentum, even though they remain unverified and unsupported, because communities thrive on suspense, possibility, and hope. And considering that global events from interest rate changes to shifting trade alliances can instantly influence sentiment, it's natural that these speculation waves keep rising and falling. And in the end, what remains absolutely true is that while no confirmed revaluation exists, the story of the Vietnamese Dong and Iraqi Dinar continues to fascinate thousands worldwide, not because of guaranteed outcomes, but because of the powerful blend of speculation, economic evolution, and global curiosity. And if you're someone who follows this journey, the most important thing is staying informed, separating fact from rumor, and watching the real economic indicators that actually shape long-term currency value. And now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to do one thing. Drop your thoughts and comments. Tell me what you believe about the future of the Dong and Dinar speculation. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown, because the story is far from over and you deserve to stay ahead of every twist and update coming next.